Um, Hello, Mad Rewind fans. I'm going to switch things up a little bit today. When I say that I chat with the cast and crew of MADtv, and when we talk about what made it so magical, today I'm going to be talking to a crew member that is absolutely fascinating. Today's guest has won 2 Emmys and has been nominated for 23 of them. She has 9 Hollywood Makeup Artist and Hairstylist Guild nominations, winning 7 of them, and has also been nominated for an ACE Award. Jennifer Aspinall. Yay! Thank you,
Brandy.
Jen. Thank you so much for doing my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited. I was so excited when you said yes. You guys, Jennifer was the head of the makeup department on MADtv from the beginning in 1995, minus the pilot, until its first cancellation 14 seasons later, doing both prosthetic and non-prosthetic makeup. Jennifer's creativity and ability to adapt has allowed her to work in many mediums within the makeup business. With over 50 years in the industry, she has designed and executed makeup and makeup effects for television, film, print, and theater. She is the splatter queen, you guys, and a gosh darn national treasure. I absolutely promise you that you know her work from everything from The Toxic Avenger. That is right, I said The Toxic Avenger. Kids, if you don't know what The Toxic Avenger is, please Google it. She's done everything from that to Saturday Night Live to Guardians of the Galaxy, Pam and Tommy. I wonder what she did on that. I know what she did on that. To Westworld, to currently working on the hit Amazon show Fallout. And again, why we are here today, MADtv. Fans, please welcome Jennifer Aspinall. Yeah. Woo!
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk to you. All right, let's get going. Jennifer, tell me about young Jennifer and her start in theater, please.
Well, I was painfully shy as a child. And around the age of 8, I found a really amazing book in the library called Richard Corson's Stage Makeup. And that book kind of showed me how to create illusion using makeup. And I became passionately involved with it. And lucky for me, my next-door neighbor produced summer stock and dinner theater. So by the age of probably 11, I started working full-time in the theater, helping my neighbor out. And luckily, my parents were groovy enough to, drive me to the theater every night. But that's how it started. I started with theater makeup, and it was all because of this book. And this book, when I teach, I really encourage my students to own this book because it's a good Bible, and it's very inspirational. Richard Corson has since passed away, but it's still on the shelves today, being used as a textbook. Anyway, so that was my beginning. That's how I started. That was where I got into the makeup, the illusion, and that's my passion, the illusion.
Now, being a child and working in the theater, were you getting paid by your neighbor or no?
I was.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I technically, probably my first paycheck was around the age of 10. But by the time I was 12, I was hardcore working. I would have a schedule of going to school, coming home. I had a 5-mile paper route. I did my paper route. I went to the theater. I did the show. I came home. I did my homework. I went to sleep, and I did it all over again from the time I was 11, 12 till the time I graduated. So by the time I was 17, I was really already working.
I can only imagine what your resume looked like at 17.
It was mostly theater.
Oh, I love that. That's so fantastic. I'm going to jump ahead in a timeline a little bit. Can you tell me about Street Trash and The Toxic Avenger and how you got those jobs? And did you have any idea while you were working on them that they would become the cult classics that they are today?
I absolutely did not have any idea. I mean, we were a bunch of kids making low budget horror films, and that to this day is surprising to me that it's still, those two films still have worldwide appeal, and I still go to conventions and celebrate them, which is kind of amazing. But I by the time I was 17, I knew I couldn't stay outside Philadelphia, and I moved to New York. And I mean that I was already working too much to do what I needed to do or wanted to do. And the first film I ever really got was The Toxic Avenger. And at that point, I really hadn't done a lot of special effects makeup. I'd really just done theater and small wounds and things and experimented with three-dimensional illusion. But The Toxic Avenger was the first one that I actually really got to learn and grow and experiment, and that was a gift. And Street Trash came along after Toxic Avenger, a few years after. I had already moved to London and was doing low-budget horror films over there, and then came back and did a movie with a camera guy named Jimmy Muro, and Jimmy wanted to create his own horror film, so that's how Street Trash got created. But yeah, and that was just more effects stuff, so more perfecting. And I was blessed enough to like meet a couple of kids along the way that were able to teach me. Tom Lawton is an artist that I had met when I was about 20, and I learned a lot about the effects construction of the blood rigs and things from him. So thank you, Tom. But yeah, so that's how that started.
So recently, I heard you tell the most adorable story about your grandfather and his 1966 Mustang and how he helped you with the effects for The Toxic Avenger. Can you please share with the audience?
It's a fun story.
Please don't leave out, please share all the gory details, all of it.
Including the gore. Well,
yeah.
In The Toxic Avenger, there is a scene where there is a child that gets hit by a bike. And the people that hit the kid on the bike back up and run over the kid a couple times. So we didn't have a shop in New York at the time. Trauma is very, very low budget. And we went down to Philadelphia area, Westchester, Pennsylvania, to practice and build the effects for The Toxic Avenger, me and Tom. And during that process, we built some dummy heads that had to be run over by a car. And so we could see where the camera angles were going to be and where the gore was going to go. And my grandfather was kind enough to volunteer to be the stunt driver. So my grandfather, in his 66 convertible, powder blue Mustang, drove over this child a few times, leaving a lot of blood on the highway, or on the street that we were using, rather. And of course, during this, Tom and I are down trying to figure out the camera angles, and the police showed up. So my poor grandfather got pulled over for running over what appeared to be a small child. And
it's adorable.
We had to rush from the grass that we were hiding in to get my grandfather out of trouble, because the cops were getting a little concerned as to what all the blood was, and we had to explain to them that we were practicing for this film, and this was fake, and the head was fake, and my grandfather was just helping us, and the cop got so confused and flustered, he was just like, "Okay, I'm leaving, just clean it up. I just need you to clean it up." So it was fun, and it's a special memory, because it's nice to have your family contribute to your projects.
Do you remember what you had the head stuffed with? Was it Jell-O or red Jell-O?
Actually it was pieces of rubber and different. We probably put some food in there, because bananas and blood always looks like good brains. Bananas. We use it a lot for brains. And the night of that actual shoot, Lloyd really wanted me to fill it with real brains from a cow or something. Ooh. And I was able to talk him out of it, because we just didn't have it just didn't work right when we played around with it and experimented. But the head itself was made out of plaster, so it cracked open like a shell. And It was a great scene. I got to direct that scene and oversee a lot of the effects in that film.
So just like mashed up bananas
yeah,
is like, oh, that's, hey kids,
yeah,
here's
it's
some
a good
ideas.
trick. It's a really great trick, and we use it all the time. We still use
Halloween's
it.
coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump more ahead in the timeline. How did you get the job at MADtv?
Mad came around because I was working with a woman named Emily Wolfe, who was one of the first producers in New York on a sketch show with John Leguizamo. So I had just left SNL, and I was working with John and Emily on House of Buggin'. And when Emily got MADtv, she brought Matthew and I out from House of Buggin' to do Mad.
And this is Matthew Katzen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Michelle. So the three of us actually came out here to do Mad, and we didn't think it was only supposed to be a 3-month gig, so we didn't really plan on moving here, but it obviously kept getting picked up for 14 years, so we stayed, and yeah. So that's how I got involved, was through Emily.
Now, but you didn't do the pilot.
I didn't.
Okay.
I was working on another project at the time and wasn't available.
And then once the pilot got picked up, then they reached out to you and were like,
Mhm.
okay. So when you started at MAD, did the writers know your full background and that you were more than capable of creating to help them with their writing? Because if I knew that the person that created everything toxic and oozy and gloriously disgusting from Toxic Avenger was on my staff, like I would absolutely utilize the hell out of you.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but I think they knew that I had done SNL for many years, so I
Okay.
think that was probably what their thought process was. But and that was such a unique experience to help birth a show. I mean, that was a bit, I was blessed enough to be brought in at the very beginning, and that was really exciting. So I think that was also a matter of finding their voice with how much illusion they wanted to do and how much they wanted to cover their actors, because at SNL they went through different many years of like heavy prosthetics and then years without a lot of prosthetics. And I think anytime sketch comedy is done, it's always that line of finding out how much you want to cover your actor, even if they're doing an impersonation of someone. So that I'm sure that in their mind it wasn't about me. It was about, do we want to create this ensemble cast? How much do we see of that cast? How much do we cover them? I think once they saw when it worked, it was really groovy for them. So I think we kept doing more and more because it was working. And I know Adam Small enjoyed it, so he I think got into it a lot with the creation of the characters.
Okay, Jen, so being the department head of makeup at MADtv, you were responsible for all of the looks of all of the actors and their characters. Can you please explain to me how that worked?
Well, as a department head, you're technically responsible for the look of the show. So what usually happens, which what happened on Mad and Saturday Night Live, is you build a crew, and the crew helps you execute the day's work. But I would be the ones in the production meeting. I would be the one in the production meeting making sure that the actors and the director and the producers and the writers got what they wanted and knew what they wanted, and then I would be able to design it and build it and then hand it off to certain people or do it myself. So many times there were characters that I would do, but occasionally I would have to hand things off because of the schedule. So on a live schedule, you have to run it like theater. So you can't do everything by yourself, obviously. So luckily I ended up creating a really amazing crew, and some I am still good friends with to this day and still work with to this day. So it's it's never just one person, but ultimately as a department head, that's my responsibility, is to make sure that the actors and the producers get what they need, and that I communicate that appropriately to my crew to get what I want from my crew and to make sure everybody's happy. So
how many people were on your crew, and would it vary from like a pre-tape or versus a live tape night?
Yeah. Well, the tape nights were primarily run like a live show. So there would be a minimum of 6 people. Every now and again, we would have more, but most of the time it was 6, including me. So 5 plus me. And on a pre tape, sometimes if it had a lot of extras or something, we might do more. But I usually tried to bring in the whole crew, the primary crew, on the pre-tape days just to have a dress rehearsal, just so that people could actually see what they were going to do during the live show. And sometimes that meant practicing certain paint jobs or facial hair. Usually the prosthetics weren't done twice, so it would usually be important for the person that was helping me, if they were doing any prosthetics, to at the very least handle the prosthetics and know what they were going to be doing on the live show.
Okay.
Because the stress of doing that on a live show is a special skill set that not everybody has. So I never tried to. I always tried to make sure that everybody had at least enough information that they weren't in a bad position the day of a live show.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So.
Did you ever have to do a creative leap to complete a job in order to get an actor on stage at MAD, given the time restraints and budget? And if so, what was it?
Not. I don't think. I don't think a creative leap would have been like. Most of the time, things were designed by me because I understand theater to work in a live scenario.
Okay.
So there choices that were made to not have to be stressful in a live show. So and also I did a lot of scheduling with the AD department to make sure that we had enough time at the beginning of the show to get the heavy stuff done, and then the removal during the night. So I was very much part of most of the time, as it did with Saturday Night Live. It revolved around the makeup department, the schedule of the shooting of the day. So that was sort of something that, we would choreograph so that there wouldn't be any problems the day of.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the stuff we were doing, there were things that we were recreating from major films, and obviously we didn't have the time that those films or the money that those films had to make those illusions.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times the creative leap would have to happen with me trying to find ways to make the illusion work without having the time and the money. So that would be my interpretation of my creative leap, because it would be something that I got very good at, was collaging pieces together without having to make them from scratch. So that would be my creative leap.
Okay. Can you explain to the audience what an average Monday through Friday looked like for you at MADtv?
I wish I could remember all the details, to be honest with you. I thought about this.
Because we would have like the pre-tape, we would have the table read on Monday.
Right. You guys would have your table read, and we would usually not have a meeting until later. Like, I forget whether it was Monday or Tuesday. I know that I was generally, by Tuesday, had an idea of what I was going to have to build and what I was going to have to do, and then would set upon doing it. And sometimes that meant getting the actor's life cast, sculpting a prosthetic. Sometimes it meant shopping for facial hair. Sometimes it meant grooming facial hair. So all of those details would just I would go into production mode. And I didn't have a crew during the week. I only had me. So my days were filled with building everything that we needed. And then on Thursday, the crew would come in and we'd do, what would be effectively our dress rehearsal and give them the information, and then Friday would be the actual, taping. That was for most of the seasons. But prior to that, we had pre-tape weeks where we would have, big location shoots and things. So those were different. And we would always try to have a couple of weeks of prep for something like that. But anyone who knows about what we do, 2 weeks is still not enough time to build stuff appropriately. So,
did you or your team ever experience something not going according to plan on a live tape night? And if so, do you remember how it was handled?
Honestly, I don't remember anything ever going bad. I think that there's always going to be hiccups with actors showing up a few minutes late, or us with the timing maybe. But nothing ever fell apart because everything was, again, pretty choreographed.
Okay.
And I feel I can look back and feel really good about that because it was something that I got very good at, being, scheduling and knowing what things were going to take to get to where we wanted to be. So for our department, I don't feel like there were any major hiccups. I mean, like I said, we had some actors that didn't want to get into prosthetics, so there was always sometimes a little bumps there. But yeah, I think it went okay.
But other than that, you were like a fine-oiled machine.
I think so. I mean, as much as you can be for a live show.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, because I grew up doing theater and I understand quick changes and I understand things that could break, because I have had that happen where you're stitching up a dress in the middle of a show behind stage with someone singing in front of you. But but by then, for me anyway, again, Saturday Night Live was the ultimate experience with live TV. So I think by the time I got to Mad, I knew how to limit that. You design things to work, not to be as big as they can be, because they're not going to work in the time and money and the schedule. So you build it to make it work. So, yeah.
You know the saying, if you want something done correctly, you hire a theater kid. Perfect example right here.
I like that. I agree. I mean,
theater kids get shit done.
We know how to do it.
What was the proudest or favorite character that you created at Mad, and why? And did it involve like a makeup effect?
Yeah, I have a couple of really fond memories. The biggest one is the first time we did a sketch with The Wizard of Oz. I think that
such a good sketch.
It was really a magical moment because everything came together in a really cohesive way. The costumes, the hair, the makeup, the set, everything really looked authentic. And short of doing plastic surgery on some of the actors to get them to be physically more like the actual original actors, we couldn't do that. But everything fell into place. And I think sitting on that set and watching that sketch be taped was pretty amazing. So for me, that's one of my fondest memories, because I think that, again, all of the elements came together and every department, everything was very cohesive and really worked. So that was exciting. So that was a great challenge. I mean, and for me, one of my best memories. There's been I've had to duplicate the makeups of some of the most famous makeup artists in the world, mostly Rick Baker, and I had to duplicate his stuff very quickly and on no budget. And getting some of those illusions close to some of his illusion, the things that he did for major motion pictures, was also very satisfying, knowing that I only had a week to do it. Mm-hmm. And that was very...
and no money.
Yeah. In my mind, I guess because, again, I grew up doing low budget and theater, the money thing never came in. It was more of the fun challenge was, how do I get there without having the resources, meaning time and money. And so I think that those illusions were really exciting. I mean, we did, Aries spears into a lot of like Eddie Murphy characters. So that was fun. And again, it's fun because I knew I probably could only get it to a certain point given the restrictions, mm-hmm. but I think I got it to the point where I probably couldn't have done it any better if we had more money or time maybe, but given that situation. So those are my favorites.
Oh, it's so good. We have arrived at the sponsor portion of my podcast.
Excellent.
I have a sponsor.
Yay.
You guys, my new favorite comedy club / comedy school is called The Crow in Santa Monica. It also happens to be a super inclusive 501c3 nonprofit theater. The Crow is one of those spaces that uses comedy and storytelling for good. I highly recommend catching a show, a class, an open mic, or even enrolling your kids in their summer comedy camp. Or maybe you are thinking about, dipping your toes into the comedy waters. No matter your age, there is a space there for you with their full comedy school for not only adults, but they also have comedy classes for teens and kids too. Or maybe you just want to go see a funny show in one of their 2 theaters on a date or with friends. The Crow just isn't a sponsor to me because I actually go there all the time. And I absolutely love this comedy club. And did I mention that they have free parking and easy train access? What? So, you guys, please visit crowcomedy.com for classes, shows, and tickets. And while we're on the Crow, I'm just going to say, when I was interviewing Steph, Mo, and Deborah, there are 2 episodes. This is part 1, part 2. We all decided to do a ghost storytelling show. And then after we left, I texted Jen and she was like, "Oh, I'm game. I'll do a ghost story. I have stories." And so I was like, "Hey," I reached out to Nicole at the Crow and I just want to announce to everyone that we have locked a date. And it's
Cool.
Thursday, October 29th at 8 p.m. There will be a MADtv ghost storytelling show, a Mad Rewind ghost storytelling show. And anyway, so that's just so you know, I don't think I've told you that I locked it. But
No, you didn't. Awesome.
there you go. It's happening. Okay, you guys, this is a new section of my podcast, and it's viewer mail time. Viewer mail time. A fan of yours, Jennifer, reached out to me from Southern California. This young lady's name is Deborah Wilson. She says she's met you a few times, and Deborah had 2 questions for you. Her first question is, was there a cast member who couldn't sit still in the makeup chair? Something tells me it's probably Deborah, but what is your answer to that?
Well, I think that's a really good question. And I don't think it was Deborah. I think more so probably Bobby Lee. I don't think Bobby really enjoyed the process. And I think given everything that was going on in his life at that time, probably wouldn't have been able to sit still for much. So I have to go with Bobby. There were plenty of people that didn't want to do prosthetics or didn't want to get into makeup, which, some we didn't do makeup on, and some we kind of had to force into makeup. But that would be my first hit. Aries didn't love it either, so that was always something. But overall, I think most of them didn't want to do it, but got into it, and probably on some level enjoyed it afterwards, because what we do is about creating their character with them and helping them create their characters. So I think most actors, although they might not want to go through the process, I think enjoy the results of feeling like they're embodying those characters once they're in it. So, yeah. So I'd have to go with Bobby.
Okay. Little Miss Deborah from SoCal also had, her second question was, what was the longest makeup job to do for a character at MAD?
Yeah, another really good question. I think it was probably the Grinch, when we put Aries into the Grinch suit, because there was a lot of pieces to that. Most of Aries' big makeups took a little bit of time, 3 hours to 4 hours. But I feel like I remember the Grinch being closer to 5 hours.
Okay. I'm just throwing this out there, thinking about this as we're talking. What about, you remember like the Spishak? It was like a Christmas where the lights were like nuclear powered and it was making everyone melt. Oh, Pat Kilbane's arm just like disintegrated into sand. Was that like a huge build or?
I don't remember it. I have no idea. Can you pull up a clip and let me look at it? I'll tell you.
We have no budget for post. Kids, Google it.
I'll have to Google it.
Christmas.
I remember Spishak, but I don't remember any.
I just want to say it was like Nicole came out and her arm just disintegrated in sand because of the radioactivity of the Christmas lights. I know that just like popped in my head while we were talking.
Maybe I didn't bill anything for it. Maybe it was all done in post.
No, because that would have been me. I didn't do any. I mean, I made the lights like
Yeah.
nuclear glowing that
Huh.
that Fox only like dimmed with their levels once it went out. But Dick Blasucci had directed me on that to
I'll have to go back and look it up
glow it up. Did you keep anything after you left MADtv after it wrapped?
I kept the only thing I really kept were some of the molds because by the time we got to 14 seasons, we had a warehouse filled with cement molds. And there were a couple of them that were, this sounds this maybe sound a little weird, but they were really good generic pieces. The fat faces that I used on Aries Spears, he had the perfect face for creating a generic fat face on. And it fit every actor I ever tried to put it on. So I kept those molds.
Mm-hmm.
They were disintegrating, and I've always intended to remake them. So they're still sitting in my garage. And I kept the Deborah Wilson Oprah face for a while until that finally disintegrated. These molds don't last forever.
I was going to ask, what is the shelf life for something like that?
Oh, many, many years. I have some that date back to the 80s. So it's not, they don't, depends on how many times you use them. But from MAD, I kept some of the pieces that I thought might be worth using for generic purposes. And I kept some of the life casts.
How long does it take to make a mold like that?
Well, the process is fairly time-consuming and complicated. It's once you have a life cast of the actor, which is a copy of the actor's face, which takes a few hours to make, and actually a day, and then you're refining that life cast and making it suitable to become part of a mold. Then you're casting that. Then you're sculpting. Then you're what we call capping it, which is making the negative part of the mold. You take away the clay, and now you've got a negative space in between the actor's life cast part, and the positive and the negative. So the process alone should be like mechanically and chemically, it could take a week. That just the variation is how long you take to sculpt it. So the better the sculpture, the more time it's going to take.
And how much would something like that, not counting labor, how much would something like that cost to make?
Material cost?
Yeah.
Nowadays, the materials are used a little differently because we use different chemicals.
Okay.
Anywhere to make a mold now, if you're just going to hire a shop or somebody to do it, it's $15,000.
Oh, wow.
Minimum. Yeah.
Wow.
Depends on, that doesn't include like what the sculpture is. That's for like a face, like not something on a face. So it's very time consuming and labor intensive. So
see, I had no idea.
Yeah. So the minimum cost nowadays for stuff we were doing is probably $20,000. So they got a good deal. It was generally about 10 to 15 back then. So it's probably, 20 the last time I went to do something.
So that Eddie Murphy sketch was crazy expensive.
Would have been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they, again, they had somebody like me who knew how to do lots of different things. So, that was $1 million effect back for the film.
Yeah.
That was a big deal in my world. The budget for just that film was for just the makeup for that film.
Wow. See, I had no idea.
It was very expensive. But because each piece also, once you produce a piece out of the mold, that only gets used once. So you've got to recast it. So the materials now are thousands of dollars for the silicone that we use to make the molds. Back then we were using something called foam rubber, which was like a lighter kind of whipped latex. But now we all seem to use silicone. So the silicone is super expensive.
Well, that leads me to my next question, which is, can you share with me how the product that you created called Skin Saver came about and how Jordan Peele was connected to it.
Sure. I created a product called Skin Saver Barrier Lotion, and the main purpose of this is to protect your skin underneath any kind of makeup or glues. It also works amazing for pollution and anything else that the air is carrying, keeps everything out of your body, out of your organs. The motivation was that Jordan, on the last season of MADtv, started having a reaction to the medical product that had been created years ago for this purpose. So we would use a barrier cream on him, and he didn't do well with it. And I ended up doing a lecture and teaching a class one night, and a guy was in the audience, and he happened to be a chemist, and his family built medical products. And anyway, I got to talking to him, and I was like, could we build something that's better than this? And we ended up doing it, and that was about 14 years ago. So Jordan was the inspiration because Jordan, as well as other actors, but Jordan in that moment for me was having a reaction to this thing that was supposed to be protecting him. And basically, I set upon making a better mousetrap. So now we have a product that is sold internationally and is in almost every makeup kit, and it's doing really well. And touch wood, it keeps going. We're bringing it to the public now, so hopefully that'll be happening in the next month. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
Do you know if it's going into beauty stores or just like
It's
sold online?
Right now, it's in professional beauty stores in London and in Los Angeles and New York and Atlanta and I think South Africa. I'm getting it down to Australia. So it's around in professional stores.
Okay.
But our hope is to get it into a different market because it was really it's really valuable for people to wear under their makeup. Like my thing is that eventually I think everybody's going to realize that a lot of this stuff, especially the heavy makeup that everybody's wearing nowadays, can be kind of toxic.
Okay.
And hopefully people will find a use for it. I think it's a valuable tool to have in your makeup kit. So hopefully the rest of the world will too.
So everyone start looking for a little Skin Saver.
But you can get it online now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's skinsaverlotions.com.
Skinsaverlotion.com.
Yes.
Jen, being the gore splatter queen, does anything scare you? Anything at all? And if so, what is it?
Scare me in life. Honestly, what makes me giggle all the time to myself is that I am horrified by real blood. I cannot deal with real blood. I pass out getting blood. I pass out looking at blood. I can't handle it. And
but making your own blood is like
my
totally
own blood
fine.
is totally fun, and I love it, and I love playing in blood. And yeah, my poor friend Margaret just broke her nose on a set that we were working on, and I had to get. She came back from the hospital, and blood started just coming out of her nose, and I passed out right in front of her. I was like, "I love you." Anyway, so blood is
your enemy,
my kryptonite. Real blood. I can't take it. So other than that, no. I guess I'm pretty fearless. Like
it's weird. I think I'm the opposite. If I've my dad used to live in the Ozarks. You've seen some shit. But even here in LA, I've pulled people out of accidents before, and I've like just throw my car and park and just go get into pull someone out. Oh, this finger's all jacked up from pulling someone out of a car once. But my blood is a different story.
So
I can help other people, but if it's mine, I'm like, oh, yeah.
So your blood is ghosts, demons, no problem.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
Blood.
Ghost hunt, I'm down. Let's go.
Yeah. Blood, no.
But I'm also that kind of person that I'm like, wait, where did this bloody Band-Aid come from? And it's not mine. And it's stuck to my leg. Anyway, little
And this
adventures.
happens to you
Just
often?
it's happened a few times. Just go for a walk and
Who do
come
you
back
hang
with
out
someone's
man?
come back with
A
someone's
bunch of
bloody
junkies?
Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And it's not mine. Anyway, I've had a lot of shots in my day. It's fine. Have you ever worked on anything like a prosthetic or had to add pubic hairs on anything like that made you feel uncomfortable? Or is everything just like a Tuesday to you at this point and nothing is a big deal?
Yes, I have had to work with pubic hair.
Yes.
Over the course of all these years, yeah, we run into some situations. But, I've had to make dead bodies and do autopsies and that sort of thing. So no, it's not a big deal. It's part of the human anatomy, and it is what it is. And there have been 2 moments in my life that I think that I would say it crossed the line. And one was on Westworld. We had to do a lot of merkins the first season. And those merkins had to be removed and cleaned at the end of the night. So there was one woman that I had to excuse myself, and I went out and threw up. That probably was one of the most horrific moments. that was a thing. That was not pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a memory.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night with a vision or an idea of like a critter or a creature that hasn't been created yet? And you're like, oh, I just have to get up and sketch it? Or do you just like departmentalize it and just put it in the back of your head for like, oh, I will pull this out, like reading a script or something further down the road. And you're like, oh, I had this idea a couple of years ago. Let me go with this.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. I think that for me, the process is more I have had the experience of waking up or driving and having an image and needing to sketch it, and I have had that, and I treasure that because that goes in my file and will eventually show up somewhere, either in a show or in my own art. So that's part of my process for sure. But a lot of times what happens is you get inspired by things, you find them organically, and they either get put into my house and kept, hence the tumbleweed in my house.
Yes, I have been to Jen's house a couple of times. Please explain the tumbleweed that is in your office.
Yeah, I was doing a movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there's a scene where Brad Pitt is at a house with all the girls, and there's a tumbleweed in the shot, and I fell in love with that tumbleweed, so I had to bring it home. And the art director was kind enough to let me take it home, and it's sitting in my house as we speak, being made into a headpiece because it just was that inspiring. I had to make it into something, so it's becoming a headpiece that I hopefully will shoot in the next year or so. Just find a groovy model that's willing to have an organic headpiece on. But yeah, so I think for me that's the way it works. It's like I find images online all the time that I just keep, and I make a file. And growing up, my father was a commercial artist, and he kept what they called at that point a swipe file or a morgue, and that's images of things that inspire you or can be reference material. So I have 2 file cabinets filled with that, and my computer filled with images that I can call upon or look back if I need something or find or reference or something. So that's my process. I'm sure everybody's different.
So if it hits you while you're driving, you're just like, oh, I have to pull over really quick. And
it
you
has
just sketch
happened
in
to
your
me
car?
where I had to sketch it. Yeah. Happened to me about a year and a half ago for a whole line of clothing that I had to get out of my body. So I had to pull over.
How long
and
were you
sketch
on
it.
the side of the road sketching?
Only a few minutes because I just made my notes and sketched a couple things, and I knew I could build from there.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
yeah.
Jen Aspinall, what are you currently working on?
Well, Brandy, I'm currently working on trying to, deal with the Skin Saver product. But other than that, I am working with a comedian named Adam Ray,
Yes.
who was on MADtv Reboot, and he and I
Season 15?
have you
Yes.
call it season 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I just thought it was the reboot.
the
10
C-
years later,
The
it's season.
CW version?
Hmm?
The CW version?
I guess so. Yeah, it was only a short time, right? So Adam and I, Adam's a stand-up, and we do a lot of character work on him. So we are having a great run with a couple of his characters that we created in my kitchen during COVID that have taken on a life of their own. And so we've been going around the country and going to Australia next month doing these characters. So I've been blessed enough to be to be working with Adam, and that's been a gift. And then in next month, I go back onto season 3 of Fallout.
Where are they shooting Fallout?
Here.
Here?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be in Los Angeles or LA area. I'm sure we'll be up in Lancaster and out in the desert quite a bit.
Okay.
So that's what I'm up to.
Do you have any advice for anyone starting out in makeup, special effects, or prosthetics?
Yes, a couple of things, because I do a fair amount of mentoring. So I always first say, make sure it's your passion. If it's your passion, the work and the lifestyle and the money will come. It's a hard job, and it's a hard business, and it can be really tough at times. So I'm always making sure that the kids, like, it's really what they want to do, because it's not for the weak of heart, and it's hard labor. And that brings me to the second thing I always say, which is pay attention to your body and learn body mechanics, because
you're on your feet.
we're on our feet, but we're also carrying minimum of 20 pounds on our backs and on our shoulders all the time. And a lot of the times we're getting in and out of vans and up the sides of mountains and into sets and in contorted positions to get to the actors. So you really have to take care of your body, and it's something that I'm really bad at. So I always say, please do that for yourself. I have one person I work with right now, and he's incredibly inspiring to me, and he's like my son, and we work together a lot. He's a makeup artist, but he's always carrying this bag, and it's like much more weight than it should be.
And this is just the makeup bag
It's
or
just
the
a
case?
makeup kit.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you go to set, you're carrying equipment on you to make sure you can take care of your actors. And nowadays, protocol has come into place where each actor has their own bags. So sometimes you're carrying 3 actors' bags. So it's really heavy. And it's a minimum of 20 pounds. And anyway, it can really, really, really be hectic on your body. So I always say, please pay attention to your body mechanics and learn how to stand and walk and carry properly. So those are the things I say. Make sure it's your passion and pay attention to your body.
Nice. Where can fans of MADtv find you and see your past and your present work?
Well, I'm pretty bad with the Instagram, unfortunately. Hopefully Skin Saver's new marketing person will take care of that for that. So some stuff will be on the new marketing program. But my website is jenniferaspinall.com.
JenniferAspinall.com. That's 2 L's at the end of
2 L's.
all.
Yeah.
Jen, thank you.
Thank you.
We've come to the end.
Yay.
We've come to the end of my interview. We did it. We
Excellent.
survived it. We had a lot of traffic, a lot of little things that didn't go according to plan to get here. But we're here.
Rewinding.
We're rewinding, and it all worked out. So this is the end credits portion of my podcast. Mad Rewind is recorded at the studio venue, situated between the largest IKEA in the United States and the 5 freeway, just south of fancy downtown Burbank. Please visit thestudiovenue.com for all of your podcast needs. Mad Rewind is produced by Dan Holden and Lily Romero, engineered by Kyle and Teresa Tucker, edited by Kyle Tucker, and hosted and executive produced by me, Brandy Stillwell. Whee! please spread the word about our little train that could, Mad Rewind. It's kind of blown up in the last week.
Right.
It's been a little overwhelming. And I mean, 99.5% of everything has been like so happy and kind and joyful. And people are like, bring it back. So I'm happy for right now to say that I'm doing my darndest to help you with that. So thank you again for spending your time. I know there's a lot of choices out there in the podcast world. Thank you for choosing us. Please share, subscribe, keep sending the positivity and the joyfulness. I really appreciate it. And again, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate with Kyle and my producers, my sponsor. And I appreciate you, Jen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
XOXO. Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you.